John Whatley with Stein Whatley Astorino, Louisville's car accident law firm. Got my partner Matt Stein here. Today we're going to discuss 7 myths that most people have about car accidents. And Matt, I'm going to just go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah.
Number 1, the insurance company will take care of everything.
Yeah, that's, I don't know who started that one other than the myth, other than the insurance companies, but...
with their commercials.
Yeah.
You're in good hands.
You're not. You really aren't. I mean, they're in business. They're in business to make money. Just ponder this for a second. State Farm Arena.
Right.
How big of a business do you have to be to have the name of the business on an arena or a stadium or a building?
Right.
These companies are gigantic, billions of dollars companies. How do they get that big?
Right.
They don't get that big from paying claims.
Right.
They don't want to pay your claim. They hire people called adjusters to make their job is to minimize or eliminate your claim.
Right.
And period.
How do we do that?
By denying everything and questioning everything and wearing you out.
Right.
Just wearing you out with everything.
Questions,
documents, pushback. Oh, you're not injured, or you don't need treatment, or we're not paying for that, or they lowball you on the value of or the damage to your car. They lowball you on the value of your claim. They, just for instance, on the damage to your car, your own insurance company, you have insurance to fix your car. Well, they fix it with replacement parts, which are, replacement parts aren't the original parts.
Right.
They're a lesser grade of part.
Right.
And so
they're able to do that.
They're able to do that. So, that's just one of a million different examples that they're not in business to help you.
And what would be your recommendation in a situation where you were injured in a car wreck? How do you avoid an insurance company taking advantage of you?
You hire an attorney, period. I mean, that's the only way to do it.
Right.
Unless you are experienced, knowledgeable about handling those kinds of situations. If you're not, then you're just asking for it. And you're the person that they prey upon and helps them have enough money to build another stadium. Right. Seriously. No, I'm not being smart aleck about it. It's the truth.
Right. Myth number 2, I can't file a claim if I was partly at fault.
Yeah, that is a myth, as you just said. In Kentucky, we have what's called comparative fault. So the law treats a person who is somewhat at fault. The law treats them as someone who can still file a claim. And a lot of these car wrecks, it can be a he said, she said situation, like merging onto a highway, and you're the car merging, or you're the car that's already on the highway, and there is a collision, and it's a he said, she said of, well, they should have moved over, or I should have sped up, all that kind of stuff.
Or a combination.
Or a combination of both. And not to get into the nitty-gritties of the duties involved, but, that's a situation where if you have injuries, you can get potentially compensated for all of it or a percentage of it.
Right.
So the law looks at the situation as 100%. There's 100% of fault to divvy up between the parties. And, many times the law ends up looking at it as a 50-50. Right. Well, if you have $1 million in loss 50% of that's $500,000.
Right.
Which is still a very substantial number.
Right. And clearly, probably life-changing and worth hiring an attorney to prosecute.
Yeah, to fight for. Absolutely. Absolutely. So don't ever give up before, you at least have it evaluated.
Right. Yeah. And there's no, at least with Stein Whatley Astorino, case evaluations are confidential and initial consultations free. We don't charge for anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's worth your time to speak with us or someone else somewhere like us that does that.
Absolutely. We welcome, we invite people to give us a call, and we'll talk to you.
Right. Okay. Well, myth number 3, and this is coming off the last one. I don't need a lawyer if the accident was minor.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been seeing now for however many, 30, almost closing in on 40 years practicing law. Yeah, could be minor damage to your car, but don't equate the damage to your car to the damage to your body.
Right.
Minor damage to a car has led, in many cases, for us, has led to significant damages, significant injuries and damages for our clients. You can get a real serious brain injury. You can get a real serious neck injury, and on down the line, a variety of things that can then cause a cascade of symptoms, sometimes permanent. So yeah, just because there's a little to no damage on your car, don't equate that with little to no compensation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a woman, I think last year, well, the wreck was a few years ago, but we were able to reach settlement last year for a woman that was rear-ended, and the amount of damages on both cars was fairly minor, I think, if you looked at it. But she suffered from a ligament laxity condition as a permanent condition.
That's in her neck.
In her neck, mm-hmm. Right. And it was a 6-figure case.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be dealing with this for the rest of her life.
The rest of her life.
And both the orthopedics that evaluated her, both of them surgeons, said there was a general likelihood that she was going to have surgery as this continued to degrade over time, and as she got older. And this future surgery that they believe is more likely than not to occur was a direct result of this rear end case. Most people think of just, I have whiplash. And that might be the case for some people, but there is a percentage of people that it's something more than just whiplash.
Yeah, and everybody thinks, well, I'm just walking off.
Right.
I'm going to get better. Well, a lot of people, not everybody's the same.
Right.
They just aren't, and you have to accept that. Right. And then a lot of people, they don't heal, and a lot of people, they get significantly worse.
Right.
And that's just built into the way we are. Mm-hmm. And it's nobody knows until you actually suffer the injury.
Right.
So yeah, you don't want that kind of a claim to just walk away.
Right. Well, and there's time limitations with car accidents.
Yeah.
There's time limitations for car accident cases in Kentucky. And unfortunately, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, if you decide that you want to now pursue this injury that's occurred, it's too late.
It's probably too late.
Right.
Yeah, in Kentucky, it's 2 years from the date of the injury. But there's some exceptions to that. But, we basically tell people, you got 2 years.
Right.
And 2 years goes by real quick. And you just don't want to wait. There's so much work to do to really get started on your case before that 2-year deadline anyhow. So just call an attorney.
Yeah, I agree. So this is one of the ones that starting out years ago, I was always amazed, and it's still sort of today, but everybody seems to think this is, believes this myth, but the police report determines who's at fault.
Yeah. That's a head scratcher to me anymore. I understand. I mean, the general public that, if you don't do this kind of stuff for a living, you would certainly think that the conclusions on a police report are, that's what everybody's going to follow, because it's the authority of the police and so on. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. That's, in fact, people don't know this until we tell them, is that, a police report, it's not even admissible in court. It's not admissible as evidence in court because they're, for many reasons, but one of them is they're just unreliable. And that's not a knock on the police. You've got to understand that the police, they have so many different responsibilities that pull on their day-to-day activities. So it's the same police officer who's writing up a police report for a traffic accident is the same police officer who's dealing with an armed robber,
Right.
or dealing with a murder scene, unfortunately.
Right.
Or dealing with a fatality car wreck, or, and all kinds of really horrible things that nobody else wants to have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I get it, and I don't begrudge the police for having inaccurate information on a police report, including the conclusions of what caused the wreck.
Right.
I don't begrudge the police for those errors.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to remember in a situation is it's pretty rare, unless the officer was sitting there at the light or whatever, but most officers, you never saw the wreck.
Yeah.
So they have no idea what occurred until they show up and they ask people. In some cases, they are making a determination of who they think is more believable or not.
Yeah.
And police officers, like all humans, have biases that unfortunately may sway how they think about those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's the police officer who shows up at your accident scene may just be coming from a murder scene, and he's trying to process what he just witnessed for the last 4 hours.
Right.
And is sitting here trying to get information from two people that, at an intersection.
Right.
So I don't begrudge the police. I don't blame them in any way, because they do a thankless job. But yeah, and almost 100%, they did not see what happened. They aren't a witness to what happened.
Right.
They're just there taking down information.
Right.
And then trying to put that information together. Again, could be after a really long, bad day.
Right. Or, at the end of their shift.
Yeah.
Changes.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff that occurs.
Yeah, God love them. I mean, they do as best they can, and,
Right. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next myth. Myth number 5. If I feel okay after a crash, I don't have to seek treatment.
Yeah, I mean, that is a myth, because I can't...
Well, I don't need that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times. It's kind of like playing, we both played football, and I was just talking with some friends over last weekend. We were watching a football game, and, the collisions in that game, and people were asking me, because they didn't play football growing up, they're like, man, doesn't that hurt? It's like, well, no, it really doesn't. It doesn't hurt in the sense like, oh gosh, my arm's killing me right after one of those hits. The reality is you don't even feel it until the next day, or maybe 2 days later, when you wake up and like all of a sudden, even as a young 18-year-old, I can remember flying around and hitting people and it didn't hurt. Then you wake up the next morning and you're stiff and sore from head to toe.
Right.
Same thing with car wrecks. Sometimes those symptoms don't even show up for 2 or 3 days.
Right.
And a lot of times people do get treatment immediately, but they're in so much pain because, let's say, their shoulder, they and their providers, the medical doctors and so on, they don't realize they've got a really serious leg injury because the primary complaint is their shoulder. And so once they get weaned off of the medicine for their shoulder, they realize, oh, my knee is screwed up.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways that people can become aware of their predicament, of their injury, but it's not immediately after the wreck.
Right.
So, gosh, yeah, that's why we always tell people, no matter what, get checked out.
Right.
And keep getting checked out.
Right.
And don't think, and I always tell, especially the male clients, don't try to be the tough guy.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, just don't try to be the tough guy. Because what you're going to do is you're going to play into the hands of the insurance company,
Right.
who's going to say, well, you never complained about it. You never saw a doctor for 3 months.
It's they've got you if you do, they got you if you don't. They'll spin it either way, and this is the only body you have, so you might as well get checked out now. For somebody that's worried that they're like, well, I was in a wreck and I'm not sure if I'm going to get checked out because I'm worried about the medical bills. What do you say to that person?
Get checked out, because your bills will get paid either through your health insurance or your own car insurance. In Kentucky, we have what are called no-fault benefits, and those benefits, they apply to your car insurance and injuries that arise from the use of your car. Or even if you're a passenger, let's say in a TARC bus that has a wreck, your no-fault benefits that pay for your medical expenses, they still cover you when you're riding as a passenger in a TARC bus.
Right.
And they cover you.
They'll follow you.
They follow you wherever you are, wherever you go, as long as the injury that you're getting treatment for arises from a motor vehicle incident.
What if that individual was riding a bus and did not, say they don't own a car, so they don't have any auto insurance? What's available for that type of person?
Well, if they live in a household with someone who has car insurance, then they would most likely be covered. And then there's also what's called in Kentucky the assigned claims plan, which steps in and it assigns your claim to any insurance company that writes insurance, automobile insurance in the state of Kentucky. And it's just, they have a revolving list of providers that, like, whoever's next up, could be Kentucky Farm Bureau, State Farm, whoever.
Right.
This government agency assigns your claim to
one of those insurers,
whoever's next up
Right.
of the insurance company.
Right.
And so you get the same benefits as someone who does have insurance.
And that's a requirement that any insurer that is going to sell policies in the state of Kentucky has to be on that.
They have to be on that list in order to write insurance for Kentuckians.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Myth number 6, I can settle my case quickly and move on.
Yeah, you can. That's not necessarily a myth. Yeah, you can do that, but the moving on part is probably most of where that myth lies.
Right.
Yeah. Insurance companies, that's why I'm sure many people who are listening, they've experienced this. They've been in a wreck, and 2 days later they get an offer to settle their case. When not just you, but nobody knows what the extent of your injuries are, what the extent of your loss is. And but that's why they catch you in a moment when you're vulnerable, when you're wondering what you're going to do, and they just say, well, here's $1,500.
Right.
And that sounds good in the moment, and you get the money, and then you're like,
It's enticing for somebody that's in a jam.
Sure.
It's lost like their ability to get to and from somewhere because their car's damaged.
Yeah.
And they're worried about losing their job.
Yeah, they got $3 in their bank account.
Right.
I mean, how many of us have been there, done that?
Right.
Yeah, and $1,500 is a lot of money. But is it enough to compensate you for what eventually turns out to be a chronic neck condition or a brain injury or, the laxity?
Right. So
Ligament
the
laxity.
insurance companies, one, they're taking advantage of your situation in order to to literally cut your claim off.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't come back to the well if you find out later on down the road that you need a lot of treatment or you have a permanent injury or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many times do you think they do that during, any given business day? And they paid $1,500 on a $25,000 case.
Right.
So they saved their company $23,500. And they do that. If they just do that, 4 times in one day?
Yeah. You're $100,000.
$100,000 they saved. You see how that, and this is nationwide?
Right.
I mean, my God, they're saving their company hundreds of millions of dollars a week.
At your expense.
At your expense. Yeah. That's bad for all of us.
Right.
For the people that get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Last myth is filing a claim will make me look greedy.
Yeah. That's...
Because I do hear that sometimes. People say, well, I'm not that type of person.
I've never filed a claim. I'm not one of those people.
Right.
And I'm like, 99.99% of all of the clients I've ever worked for in almost 40 years said the same thing. They really, most people, it's the first time they've ever had to make a claim. There aren't people that I'm aware of that make a career out of filing claims,
Right.
out of greed. I've never seen that personally. There might be people out there doing that. Now with all these dash cams and everything, you see that there are people who are going around and fishing for a wreck.
Right.
They brake check. That's the method of their madness. We don't represent those people, and that's not what our clients are. Our people just going about their day and they got hurt.
Right.
That's not greed.
No, and it's not. I think the folks that have that opinion of someone that might make a auto injury claim, they quickly change their opinion when the bills start rolling into the mail after a couple of weeks, and then it hits them. There's a certain amount of fear that occurs that now they're not just them, but their family can be financially in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to pay for all these things? And you still have to get your groceries, the power bills coming in, water, mortgage, rent.
And I can't work.
Right.
Yeah, because my leg's broken.
Right. Or how am I going to afford this $20,000 ER bill?
Right. Or, they keep jacking me around on fixing my car.
Right.
It wasn't even my fault.
Right.
And the guy ran into the rear end of me and tore the back end off my car. And they're jacking me around on fixing it.
Right.
What's the deal? It's like, okay, well, I mean, is that greed? Wanting to get those wrongs righted? That's not greed. That's just
Fairness.
fair and square.
Right.
Absolutely. You caused it, you're going to pay up.
Right.
I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
You cause a problem, you better be ready to fix it. And that's that's where the insurance companies they make their money on that, because they've agreed to step in and fix it. Right. And guess what? They don't want to do that. So yeah.
And fortunately for us, I mean, it creates a need for lawyers like ourselves to not help these people.
Yeah, and this whole notion that the injuries, the car wrecks, the fall downs, and everything, it's all based on greed. It's unfortunate. We're in a service business. We are here to serve people, to assist them with their claims and with their legitimate claims. And I think I think that the people who unfortunately have a different idea of what it's all about, they realize real quick when it happens to them or their family member that they were wrong.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, Matt, I appreciate your time. You've got a wealth of knowledge, and I hope the viewer finds some of this information helpful. I'm John Whatley. This is Matt Stein with Stein Whatley Astorino, Louisville's car accident law firm. If you've been injured, give us a call. We're happy to talk to you. Our consultations are confidential and free. So give us a call at 502-553-4750. Stein Whatley Astorino, serious attorney, serious results.